Alright, so once again I'm live. Coming in, an interesting weekend, week. And a lot of stuff going on. Feel like I hit by a damn pollen attack this week, but that's beside the point, right? I'm seeing a lot of crazy stuff lately in the news and online, in real life. Right. So, a lot of violence in the community. What is he? Guy I grew up with got diagnosed with they call it ALS, so it's weird. Um, I have to do a segment on it actually. Um, but there's that. North Nix, Texas, yeah, track meet, something happened, and all this other stuff. So, like I always say, things happen for a reason, I guess they say, right? And you gotta find out what's happening. Or maybe you don't have to find out what's happening. The choice is yours. You might want to find out what's happening, better yet. I always have, always tried to find out what's happening. And sometimes that isn't even enough. But at least people are trying to figure things out, right? That's that video I was looking for. Also, been a lot of weird weather across the U.S. These. Mm. And more. So, hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Shoot, been a crazy day, man. But it's been warm and now it's getting chilly. About to have about a storm.
Oh shit! Damn.
Yeah, but it's all right.
Crazy,
Got
bro.
windy, but it's been 80 degrees all weekend. Now we're gonna be in the 60s, 50s, and 40s.
Yeah, it's kind of warm out here right now, man.
Yes, yeah. A lot of pollen though. It look like you get like a pollen attack or something.
Mm.
Yeah, you're outside, pollen all on the car and everything. I'm looking at some stuff right here. About something that happened in North Texas about a track meet stabbing.
Frisco teenager took to Facebook to defend him Friday. Kevin Hayes wrote that Carmelo Anthony defended himself against violent aggressors in a now viral Facebook post. He calls the victim and his twin brother bullies and claims they tried to take his belongings, broke his phone, and stomped on it.
I'm sure the defense would argue that he's a young man, he's scared, he's allegedly just been jumped by multiple people, and, he panicked.
Attorney Mike Howard.
It's going to be complicated, and it's going to depend on what the witnesses there say.
The arrest warrant says Anthony, a student at Frisco Centennial High School, was under Memorial High School's tent. The warrant says Austin Metcalf, a Memorial student, told him to leave. He says he told Austin, "Touch me and see what happens."
One of the prohibitions in self-defense is the person claiming self-defense cannot provoke the incident and then claim self-defense when they act.
The warrant says a short time later, Austin grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled a knife from his bag and stabbed Metcalf once in the chest.
Anytime the alleged victim does not have a weapon, that makes it difficult, not impossible, but difficult for the suspect to claim self-defense.
In his Facebook post, Hayes describes Anthony as a respectful, well-mannered young man, a 4.0 student with multiple college offers, and a kid with zero criminal history. Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail on $1 million bond. Reached by phone, his mother declined to comment. She said the family had not yet hired an attorney. In Frisco, I'm Tanya Iser.
Well, why would an attorney not take the case,
Relative
though?
of a Frisco.
$1 million bond? Damn, bro, that's high as hell. Well, see, why the police, or the correctional officers in upstate New York, they got bond? That was less than their bond was less than $1 million.
Yep. You got a point.
Honestly, this seems like this type of stuff happens when Trump is in there. I mean, it happens when Trump ain't in there, but this right here, man. I'm telling you, bro. This is definitely to hit. You know what I'm saying? The psyche of so-called American people. You see what I'm saying? This right here is to definitely push another narrative. You know what I'm saying? To shape the public opinion. You know what I'm saying? In these people for sure. You see what I'm saying? Definitely more stereotypical type. Because it's funny because you don't really see any white people talking about he's innocent. You see what I'm saying? It's like, okay. Kind of, you know what I'm saying? And you
Mm.
get, and then this dude, I forget which his cat it was, but he was talking. My bad. It's fucking noise upstairs. He was talking about some statistics, like black statistics. You see what I'm saying? Like racial statistics with black people and white people, and how black people attack and do stuff to black people more than white people. It's some bullshit, man. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? It's more. This is feel more propaganda, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But that just goes to show how you know, you got your Europeans that see it totally different than we do. You see what I'm saying?
Mm. I got you.
Sorry about that noise, man.
I ain't hear it actually.
It's like a Kyle Rittenhouse kind of thing to me. What you think? That's the vibe I get from it.
It is kind of wild.
Like you get the Kyle Rittenhouse. You know what I'm saying? It's funny how, you know what I'm saying? People that was defending Kyle Rittenhouse aren't defending him, Anthony. You see what I'm saying? I think it's interesting, right?
I got you.
Yeah, my bad.
Well, tonight.
Crazy stuff going on. We had 3 killings there, 3 or 4 killings here last week. One of them, 15-year-old girl got killed in the projects. We had another one.
Damn.
He got a lot of shootings around here lately, come to think about it. Got a new community center open too. I think they think it's gonna stop the violence. I don't know, but got an indoor track and all that. Matter of fact, I used to go to school there when I was a kid. They changed it from school to a community center. They trying to do something with it. Maybe it worked, maybe it won't. I don't know. But I know they got skateboards and basketball courts and all that stuff out there. So stark contrast. When I grew up, but at the same time, trying to do some things for the kids. So we'll see what happens. Always got to see what happens for the benefit. Cause a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. Now, this was a story I happened to run across.
A Columbus area teacher is behind bars after police say she tried to pay one of her students $2,000 to kill her husband. 44-year-old Stephanie Demetrius of Powell is charged with conspiracy. Columbus police told 10 TV she worked at Academy for Urban Scholars High School. It's a charter school in Columbus. 10 TV's Kristen McFarland joins us live outside that school tonight. And this sounds pretty wild, Kristen. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Yolanda. Well, when you send your kids to school, you expect that they are in good hands. However, police say a teacher from this school right behind me tried to pay one of her students to kill her husband.
State versus Stephanie Demetrius. Ma'am, you are here today charged with 1 count of felony conspiracy.
Stephanie Demetrius arraigned in court today, charged with conspiracy in connection with the investigation. Columbus police say Demetrius, a teacher at the Academy for Urban Scholars High School, asked one of her students to kill her husband for $2,000.
We're super grateful to the parent of that was involved because of her actions and being diligent going through her young person's phone.
Court documents show a recording of a phone call between the teacher and student discussed payments when her children would be out of the home and that her husband worked from home. The phone recording also revealed Demetrius telling the student the neighbors weren't a concern when asked if they would hear the gunfire.
This would have changed the life of this young person, the classmates that go to school with this person, the teachers, the victim's family, just so many people within the community would have been rocked by this situation had this not been taken care of when it was. You always, specifically with phones, there's so many things that they have access to.
Court records reveal Demetrius has a history of domestic violence towards her husband.
This is something that should garner.
Now she paying somebody $2,000 to kill her husband. This is some crazy stuff, ain't it, man?
That's wild.
You know what's so crazy though? I was out today though, and a young lady showed me a thing, and she showed me a picture of her car. I'm like, what's up with your car? She was like, oh, this is a picture of my ex. He busted my windshield and broke all the TVs and stuff in the house and stuff like that. I said, what? I said, damn. Ouch. So what the hell's going on? He got mad. So I don't know. I mean, this is a weird case, but that's how it's going down.
But see, why would you? How dumb is that? You're a teacher. You don't think that's? You don't know. You're not intelligent enough to know that that's going to be traced back to you. What the fuck? You have a student do it, and you give them a certain amount of money to do it. Like, you don't think it's going to trace back? I don't know, man. That's really stupid. Yeah. Yep. Really stupid.
Yeah, it is insane when you really think about it.
What the hell? People sick, and why are you going to kill your husband for? Divorce the motherfucker, man. Maybe some money or some assets or something.
Yeah, man. They going crazy, man. I just tell you, it's been a little wild out there, man. It's a wild world out there, man. But that's how it's going down.
Where's the accountability, man? Accountability. Right?
Yeah, you're right. Oh, man.
Like, divorce the motherfucker if you don't want to be with him. I don't understand people, man. People crazy, man. People crazy, BJ, man. People crazy, man.
Trying to find this thing. This was going on in Richmond lately.
Richmond Police Chief Rick Edwards says that, frankly, these shootings have to stop. He says that 5 people have been shot and killed over the last 9 days, with 4 of those being children.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very tough week for us. So a lot of people shot, a lot of innocent lives that are lost.
Richmond Police Chief Rick Edwards has one message to the community.
You know, we just need people to put these guns down.
Gun violence has claimed the lives of 5 people in just over a week. But it's the fact that 4 of the victims were kids that is the most concerning to Chief Edwards.
I have 589 police officers. We're in a city of 230,000 people. We need everybody looking after our kids. We need the parents, we need teachers, we need loved ones looking through their cell phones and checking their bedroom for guns. De-escalate some of these fights and incidents of violence from getting to the point where guns are pulled out.
The latest death was a 15-year-old Dora Hill. Police say she was shot and killed by another teen in the Jackson Ward neighborhood Wednesday evening. Her family says she was...
All right. Let me say something about that. Matter of fact, I rode through there today going somewhere, right? I had to go check out a building. Jackson Ward been over there since the 1960s or 50s. They had a high-rise building they closed down years ago. I think they had senior citizens. But Jackson Ward has always been wild. It's right after you get off the highway. Matter of fact, pass on that, or you got like a little underpass. But it's Jackson Ward is in 5 miles, in a 5-mile radius. You got You got 5 housing projects. Jackson Ward, Creighton Court, Fairfield, Creighton, which is being torn down. That's mostly almost gone because they built new apartments and townhomes over there. And no, it's Jackson Ward, Mosby, which is closest. Wickham, which is up the hill. Fairfield, and Creighton. Actually, Creighton is probably the farthest out there because that's on 9 Mile Road in Richmond. But these areas, especially when it gets hot, have always been hotbeds for crazy shit. It's been going on since like the 80s and 90s, man. So the early 2000s.
You talking about like crime over there? You talking about the crime?
Yeah, this ain't nothing new. I mean, they act like this is some new shit. Like this happens all the time. So I mean, I'm not saying the kids for them to get killed over the week. That's not, But what I'm saying is that always goes on over there. So it's not surprising. But obviously got a new police chief on the case, obviously, right? But but 4 of them have been children this week. But it was spring break. Shit. The hell. I mean, that's what goes on. I mean, they're making a big story out of it, but they act like this ain't been going on for the last 25 years or 20 years or whatever shit. I mean, Blackwell over Southside, which is 10 blocks from me, used to be crazy. Matter of fact, one time we had 190 killings in 1 year.
You said how much?
I mean,
You said 100 killings in 1 year?
It was like 100. Yeah. It was 190 in 1 year. So I mean, it's always been, Looney Tunes shit.
And they keep talking about gun violence, but it's just like, why they keep? Keep talking about guns, but it's just like it's people, man. If motherfuckers had money, man, motherfuckers wouldn't kill them like that, man. Like people have resources or more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, here you go.
Is excited about her 16th birthday next month and picking out a dress for her school's prom. Edwards stated the recent shootings are not connected. CBS.
Oh, you see the high-rise building I'm talking about?
Where, right there?
Yeah, right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I passed it today, matter of fact. It's a high-rise building. That's a part of it. Actually, behind there, got way more projects back there. So it's a big ass housing project.
Oh, yeah. The project.
6 asked the chief questions you shared with us on our CBS 6 Facebook page. Mike Clark asked when RPD will be starting Operation Safe Summer again. It's a program the department started before school even let out last year. That combines little for it while providing resources to those who are impacted by it. Edwards had hoped that they would not have to start it early this year.
It's a big ask to bring in all those other federal agencies and state partners that already have their plans in place. But if we find a need for it, we'll definitely make that call.
Sylvia Forbes asked if parents will be held accountable in cases where teens are the ones using the guns.
Yes, and one thing I would stress too is we talked about what to do if your kid has a gun in his or her bedroom, but your guns need to be secured. And I would call on everyone. If you have a gun that you don't have a safe for, call us. We will come and deliver it to you.
While the city's spring break is close to concluding, Chief Edwards hopes the community can help prevent any more shootings before kids return to the classroom.
So we went 25 days into this year without a homicide. So it can happen again. We just need all of us to participate in this.
And police are asking anyone with information about any of these shootings to contact them directly, or you can contact them anonymously at their Crime Stoppers number. That is 804-780-1000.
So that's what's been going on over. That's
but see, they talk about all that stuff. They don't talk about
resources.
resources though. Why they never talk about resources? The project, that's what the project is a project. That's poverty stricken. They don't support restricted people, man. It's like, huh? That's old guns.
Now let me say something. Now let me say something. That I would say that, but you know what's so crazy? Right across the bridge. I'm talking about literally less. If you walk across the bridge, them apartments and townhomes they got over there is $1,000 a month because this housing project is really right next to the downtown area. You could just walk right there into the downtown area where VCU owns a lot of the property. So they got parking decks, Dominion Energy, CoStar, data center. They got all that shit downtown. So this shit is right behind there. Now they're talking about turning this housing project down the next couple of years. As a matter of fact. So, but this is a historic part of Richmond. It's called Jackson Ward. As a matter of fact, we have a festival there every year called Second Street Festival. However, the Second Street Festival is not like it was. We used to be independent, but now they got sponsors like Dominion Energy and I think it might be Wells Fargo. There's a lot of stuff that goes on there. And so they might, they had Arrested Development there last year and things like that. And they might have some bands come out there. But recently it's an area, you got politicians coming to you talking about voting for them. And then you got they still have the vendors there and everything like that. But it's just not when you start getting the corporate sponsor and stuff, the local people they used to in the community they come, but they don't stay very long. Some of them do. The people that have been out there for decades, but like newer people come in the city, back in the day you were hard. You might see a couple of white people out there, but you didn't see it. Now it's a free fall thing. Everybody feel comfortable coming down there. So it's just weird. But like I said, and that goes on. They got a Hippodrome theater over there. It's a lot of things over there. It's in the downtown area. But so this is actually kind of, it's right across that bridge. And where all the stuff go down on. But downtown, right across on the other side of the bridge, where the gentrification and things go on. I'm not saying things don't happen, but they don't talk about it as much. Let's put it like
right, without facts. But I'm just saying, I know
so that's showing how to localize crime. You know where to put it at or have it at.
Right. It's controlled, right? Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm saying in those areas of police, and then I'm sure over there in downtown and over there in the other areas, they're not police. You know what I'm saying?
Come think about it. They had a protest downtown yesterday. They had a protest last night.
Who's their protest?
Hold on, shit.
Yo. Who's their protest?
Protesting on Trump and Elon Musk, something like that. They were downtown. They had a big protest, matter of fact, on Main Street. What's up, Shaq?
Yo. Let me go get this clothes. I'll be back, man.
Word.
Shaq. Not much, man. You talking about these I played that thing earlier. That thing in Texas, about the stabbing.
Oh yeah, what about it?
No, I played it.
Which one you played?
You sent me the video, I played it.
Yeah, which one?
About the kids that the track meet?
Yeah, which one? It's multiple videos. Which one? I sent a couple of them. Which one you played?
Oh, the one where the family was talking about that.
That's the only one you played?
Yeah, you want to play another one?
Yeah, I sent you the other one where they was with his cousin or some shit posted on Facebook or some shit that that they didn't tell the full story about. Like I said, that they took his bag and phone and stomped his phones and shit like that. Say there's a video out there. Supposed to be a video out there somewhere.
Yeah, all right.
You probably remember like a minute or two.
detail what
Man, you already know they're gonna hide that. You know
happened
what
in the
I'm saying?
moments leading up to the stabbing death of a Frisco ISD student, Austin Metcalf. It comes as the community continues to really process what all happened. Tonight, our Aaron Jones speaking to a crisis counselor who is now sharing some advice.
The Frisco Centennial High School student charged with stabbing Frisco Memorial student Austin Metcalf has been transferred to the Collin County Jail. Arrest documents state 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony was sitting under Frisco Memorial's pop-up tent at a track meet Wednesday morning. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move. Then Anthony grabbed his bag, reached inside, and said, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." The documents say a short time later, Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Later telling an officer at the scene, "I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me, I told him not to." Anthony's bond was set at $1 million. Legal expert Philip Linder weighing in.
If there is no evidence of the young man who died having a deadly weapon or threatening to do serious harm to this kid, then he has no business using a knife. And so there will be no self-defense claim that he could really urge.
Metcalf's father tells us his son's twin, Hunter, witnessed what happened that day and tried to save his brother's life.
I need my son back, but that's not possible. All I can ask for is just pray.
Arrest documents show more than 30 students and coaches are also listed as witnesses to the violent death.
There's a likelihood that there will be post-traumatic stress.
Veronica cites a trained mental health crisis counselor, says anyone in need should be getting counseling to cope with their feelings.
Don't do that
so
when
that
it's
they know and see and experience that they are not in this alone. Give them space to talk if they are open to visit, but also pay attention to things if they've lost their appetite, if they're having disruptions to sleeping.
Frisco ISD has counselors on hand for any students that need to talk. Today, I spoke with Anthony's legal team. They tell us they will not be commenting on this case at this time. Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.
Okay, I got a question. Was they talking about any kind of counseling, anything like that, in the Kyle Rittenhouse case or in the Daniel Penny case?
No, hell no.
Hell no, right?
It ain't gonna never be.
Seriously, like, you know, it's like mad sympathy and empathy, and then all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying? Okay, what about even with the what's the name? With the you know what I'm saying? Any kind of stand your ground cases, you know what I'm saying? With the Trayvon Martin, they wasn't talking about. They ruled that out automatically. They, you know, went to trial and Trayvon Martin didn't have a weapon. See, that's why it's like, you know what I'm saying? Tamir Rice, a BB gun. They knew it was a BB gun. You know what I'm saying? It's just I just see how they do it, man. I see how they do it. It's the narrative is always painted for them to be right. If they're for them to be the victim. It's funny how they always say that we're the victim, but they always the victim and always want to play.
Well, like I said, I don't want to do like everybody else and jump to coup. I want all the information to come out first before I even make a public, responses, because everybody already throwing this and that out there before everything come out. Jump into it, you know what I'm saying? Before everything come out, a lot of people you get whether side get judged by quarter of public opinion, whether it was factual or was not factual.
True, but still, they still do paint there.
They definitely paint the narrative, because we've had these conversations before about whether a person of color, melanated black man, should be able to defend themselves, and no matter what the social circumstance is, compared to a so-called perceived to be white man, young male or female, being able to defend themselves no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what the perceived aggression or intent or lack thereof. You know what I mean? These situations always happen, like we're not allowed to defend ourselves no matter what the circumstance is.
Right.
And it's like people getting tired of not being allowed to defend themselves. You know what I mean?
And they basically showing, they keep showing by, having this in case log and having this on the news.
They put first of all, you go to the law, right? Because people say, oh, what the law, bro, those laws were not even designed to benefit us in the beginning. So if y'all really talking about some transparency, you're talking about one nation, then you need to go back and revise some laws because they was used overwhelmingly, discriminately, intently.
Exactly.
When you wrote all these laws was created. They was not created in good faith. They was created to benefit one status group, a white status group. It was used to benefit a white status group. Point blank, period. So if you don't go back and revise them, then it's not a justice. It's not gonna never be justice because, like you said, you're gonna have where this state got a law and it mentions and says this and that, and it replies, the law is supposed to not be have any color to it, but we already know since the birth of a nation, that's coming straight out of the law, out of the fucking goddamn White House, of what they said. So that's the executive branch in the turn of the century, 19th century, giving you the tale of the tape. How we gonna run? How they gonna run this? How we gonna judge this? In our eyes, not for we the people, all the people, in our eyes. These laws are gonna be made for us to defend us and no one else. Point blank, period. And if you're gonna go back and revise all that, I don't want to hear nobody talking about let's all get along shit. Because it ain't been let's all get along.
Facts.
And it is racial. It's always gonna be racial. This country was, like I said, was built off race divide. Point blank, period.
That's exactly.
You can't escape it. People try to escape it and play like put the head down. I don't make it about race. No, you want to make it about race when you want to make it about race.
Right.
Because it is about race. The whole point you call yourself white is because it's a white race. If not, well, we'll just be Americans then.
Exactly.
One nation. And we know we far from that. Yeah.
And look how they treat us when it comes down to the Second Amendment. That lets you know right there. When it comes down to
the Second Amendment and First Amendment. I mean, you can't say that about Jewish people, but they can always get in your business. They got a right to say something about you. You know what I mean? Yeah, it ain't never been no damn justice, man. Justice for all. When? You know what I mean? It ain't never really got a first shake. And people, like you said, whatever they consume, that's what they spit out. So if you consume is distributing hate, political violence, unjustness, unrighteousness, unlawfulness, that's what you're gonna spit out. You're never gonna be the voice of reason.
You know what you should do? You should play Megyn Kelly and them. You should play they they going in. Now with no proof. They just going, you should play that. You should play Megyn after this. With Megyn Kelly, her stance on this. And that right there, stuff like this just shows you how these people think. And the propaganda that propels that type of ish.
I'm gonna play this because I want you to hear this. Now watch how this is an interesting story I just found today earlier. I want you to hear this, and we're gonna see how they play this up. Watch this.
An arrest in the killing of a Catholic priest in Kansas. Authorities arriving on church grounds, discovering the priest suffering from gunshot wounds. He later died at the hospital. ABC's Ike Ajachi is here with new details. And Ike, the suspect allegedly said he plotted the whole thing.
That's right. Good morning, Janae. Right now, prosecutors are trying to determine the motive behind this senseless act of violence that left the community without its cherished pastor for the last 15 years.
This morning, an urgent search.
Yeah, they're reporting that different. He was a cherished pastor. You heard that right?
For answers after a beloved Kansas priest was shot dead in broad daylight on church grounds.
There simply are no words. Our hearts are just broken.
Deputies arriving on scene, finding 57-year-old Arul Karasala outside the church residence Thursday afternoon, suffering from several gunshot wounds. A bullet hole seen here piercing the glass of the rectory. Karasala rushed to a local hospital where he later died from his injuries. Shortly after, authorities arresting 66-year-old Gary Hermesh, appearing in court Friday, shackled in a wheelchair, charged with first-degree murder. Prosecutors believe the crime was committed intentionally and with premeditation, but haven't stated why.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Parishioners gathering to pray just hours after the killing.
He was a wonderful person. He was very personable, and he did a great job.
Now, according to the Kansas Bureau of Investigations, Hermes turned himself into custody not long after the incident. He remains in custody at an area jail on a $1 million bond.
His bond $1 million too, huh? Go. See that? Right. But
you said the bond, the bond wasn't $1 million.
Yeah, so was the boy. But what I'm saying is, man, it was a little different than reporting.
Oh, for sure. They're paying him, you know.
You're going to pay for killing this priest.
It was definitely a negative narrative.
You're going to pay for killing this priest.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, where they get you at, that's why I said state. That was in Kansas, and this is in Texas. The state law in Texas for self-defense. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, different charges for murder is different. And like you said, attorney, prosecutor, judge, they can use extreme prejudice at their discretion.
Right.
So it all depends, like you said. If you know,
yeah,
if you gotta, you know.
Like they say in New York, I ain't even gonna really play this video because they said a man slashes children in New York with a meat cleaver, right? So what I say, you got all types of crazy shit going on. Right? Before you came on, Chak, I was even talking about we done had 9 shootings, I think is it 5? I think it's 9 shootings like a week or something like that. But I know 4 of them been kids. And 15-year-old girl died in the project. Actually, I passed through there today. And a lot of killings happened last week on spring break. 4 of them children, or shootings of children, better yet. They got the new community center that opened down the street. Actually, coincidentally, I went to school. They used to be a private school. They tore it down, and they made a gym, two basketball courts, indoor track, so forth and the like. Got to see what happens. With that, it's opening tomorrow to the public for the first time. But they already had skateboards and stuff like that. You can go out there and play basketball outside. So we'll see what happens. But these kids, but I've been realizing something about all these courts and stuff they've been making lately. We might be out there, but it might be a few. But all the guys are going to hoop out in the county and everywhere else now. I mean, you might see a play at city court sometime. But I be seeing Hispanics at the court. I be seeing a lot of white boys. They don't even be at the court. They be daggone out there just shooting around and shit. They know how to organize game. Matter of fact, not a pickup game. And another thing, come think about it. Shoot, they got skateboard and pickleball and all this other stuff out there. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I know some guys that play pickleball in leagues and stuff, but that ain't some stuff that we started doing like that. We played tennis. This pickleball thing, they got leagues and stuff. There's a lot of interesting things going on with this thing. So they got leagues and stuff like that. So I mean, just going to show you the hood being phased out a little bit, to say, so to speak. Yeah.
True.
I mean, in so many ways. So that's just the way it goes. Can't be mad at it, but I mean, you know, I just said, hey, look, what's really going on now? Since you're in Texas, measles. Say a second child died of measles in Texas, by the way, but nevertheless.
The country's deadly measles outbreak is getting worse, spreading at an alarming rate in Texas. 59 new cases have been reported there since Tuesday, leaving 14 people hospitalized.
We just don't know how bad it's going to get.
Megan Messick is the co-owner of Tiny Tots U Learning Academy in Lubbock. 6 children who attend the Texas daycare have tested positive for measles.
I've got parents that are upset because we're doing so much and then, isolating their children. And then you've got other parents that are like, do more.
It's something Lubbock County Public Health Director Catherine Wells feared.
I think this demonstrates how infectious measles is. It is our most infectious virus that we know about.
More than 600 cases have been reported across 21 states and the capital so far. Health experts say it's a shocking comeback for a disease declared eliminated in this country 25 years ago because of the vaccine.
Measles is going to find those unvaccinated populations. Getting the vaccine now before you're exposed to measles is really the best way we can prevent you from getting measles.
In Texas, the majority of cases and hospitalizations are occurring in unvaccinated kids. One unvaccinated school-age child has died.
This is not something that I was expecting to be working on this year as a public health department.
Alarming numbers signaling a desperate need to slow the spread. Maya Eaglin, NBC News.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow.
So they say measles outbreak is spreading. That's what they claim, huh? Right. Not really sure about that, but I mean, not sure about that. But that's what they say, measles outbreak spreading. So if you believe it, it's on you. But all right, now, so I had a little shocker this week. Guy with which is lateral sclerosis. It's a neurodegenerative disease. I ain't just say I ain't never heard no black man have no ALS, but that's another story. First time for everything. Right. But whatever the case, you gotta go fund me out there. So you might not know what it is either. Okay. Okay. We got to give a sample. What is it?
So the symptoms of ALS are several. The one that I think is most obvious and tends to be most recognizable to people is going to be progressive muscle weakness. And that does affect life and day-to-day function and tends to be, or is, progressive. The things that we pay close attention to are going to be breathing function, making sure someone's able to get adequate breath. Things like swallowing function, making sure they're able to eat adequately. It's not taking them an excessive amount of time to eat a meal, choking on food, things of that nature, and speech and communication. ALS does affect speech eventually, and oftentimes people have difficulty communicating with family members, and there's actually a lot of workarounds for people to communicate even if they're not able to speak well.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, shortened to ALS.
is a neurodegenerative disease which usually begins in adulthood and advances rapidly. It's characterized by the deterioration and loss of both upper and lower motor neurons. As the motor neurons stop sending signals, the muscles weaken, leading to paralysis. When the diaphragm are paralyzed, this can be fatal. There is no known cure for ALS. For most people, the cause of their ALS is unknown, but some people inherit the disease from their parents. By studying the genes that are altered in these patients, scientists have pinpointed processes in the neurons that might be causing ALS. It's too early to know which of these altered processes are a result of the disease and which could be a cause, but it's clear that they affect many different aspects of the motor neuron function. Let's start in the cell body. Here, proteins that are not transported into the nucleus build up in the cytoplasm. Errors in the systems that build up and break down proteins also cause other misfolded proteins to accumulate. The different proteins can then aggregate and can become toxic to cells in several ways. For example, they can damage mitochondria, the cell's power generators. Mitochondrial damage can lead to oxidative stress, which can trigger breaks in the DNA of the cell. ALS seems to affect DNA repair processes as well. When DNA breaks are poorly repaired, it ultimately contributes to the death of the neuron. The cell's transport machinery can also be damaged. For example, ALS-affected neurons often have problems transporting RNA, proteins, and vesicles, both in the cytoplasm and along the neuron's axon. These vesicles contain important cell signaling molecules called neurotransmitters. If these can't be moved along the axon or released, the neuron can't send messages to its target cells. Damage to the cytoskeleton can also cause the axon to retract. If this happens, the axon can no longer connect to the muscle nearby and can no longer signal the muscle to contract. Other cell types can also be involved in ALS. Oligodendrocytes, which electrically insulate the axon and provide support to the motor neuron, don't work in people with ALS. Reduced uptake of neurotransmitters by astrocytes can lead to overactivation of the receptors at the synapse and death of the neuron. Finally, astrocytes and microglia can produce factors that protect or damage motor neurons. Neuronal death occurs when excessive damaging factors are produced. Further research is needed to find out which of these many processes cause the motor neuron degeneration seen in ALS patients. Targeting new drug therapies at those processes might lead to a treatment for this incurable disease.
Since I'm on ALS, my buddy's got it, so very interesting. Well, check out his friend better yet, so. So he's gonna be in a wheelchair probably the rest of his life, things like that. And he's got 5 children. Not sure if he's married anymore or not. That could cause some issues. All right. But that's a thing with ALS. So people got to be careful. So it's a motor neuron disease, as they call it. So anytime, you got things with your motor neurons, that's going to be the end of you sooner or later if you don't, get the, I mean, this disease they claim has no cure. That's to be determined. Let's be determined, right? No, that ain't what I'm looking for. But that go to show you there's a lot of stuff going down. That's all I'm gonna tell you. So you better know what's going on. Now, now this is gonna be interesting since they got the Final Four going on. I sent this to Chak the other day. And I think the women won today. A lot of people don't know. I know Michael Vick told his athletes, if you gotta go, go. He like, I know you say you wanna play for me for 4 years, but if you get the money, basically go. You gonna turn that $700,000? So I just found it kind of interesting. But I kind of knew it was coming. Because you can't keep on giving all that money out. And then, I mean, you can't keep on giving all that money out without players leaving teams. So let's see. Let's see if I can find it.
Who's coming in the driveway?
Maybe one of the most
All right, Chak, you out there? I'm gonna play it though. It's an interesting video right here.
March Madness this year may be one of the most controversial of all time, and it has to do with the transfer portal and NIL, potentially taking the madness out of March Madness. The NCAA transfer portal is a vehicle that was instituted in 2018 that allows players to transfer from one college to another without having to sit out a full academic year. So in essence, it's like free agency in professional sports, where players can go from one team to another each year and potentially even play for a different school every year of their 4-year eligibility. The number of students that have entered the transfer portal has really picked up in the past couple of years due to NIL spending, which is this concept where players get paid for playing college sports. That has changed the definition of the transfer portal to players that were blocked for playing time, to players chasing money to go to different schools dependent on whatever school is going to offer them the most money. This particular March Madness has really crystallized the effect of the transfer portal in a way that we haven't seen before. In the Final Four this year in men's basketball, all 4 teams that advanced were the number 1 seed. That has only happened once before in 2008. And that may have been a fluke in 2008, but it's no longer a fluke. The transfer portal and NIL are bringing the talent more consolidated to these big name schools. It used to to be that players would stick around for 4 years and move on, or the star players might leave early, move on through the NBA draft or the NFL draft or the WNBA draft. But what we're seeing now is this new situation where players are jumping schools year after year, sometimes even in the same season, because again, you no longer have to sit out a year. And the effect of that is both chaotic for the fan and for coaches. Several coaches have said publicly they don't like the transfer portal because it's hard to maintain cohesion within a team when players are leaving either after the season or mid-season. That's why you're seeing such a movement in talent toward the biggest schools in a respective sport, whether it be college football, men's basketball, or women's basketball. The pro, of course, is that players can be better compensated for their playing time. Another pro would be if you're a fan of a big-time school, a lot of the talent that has developed at smaller schools can now transfer using the portal. They don't have to sit out a year, and they can immediately join the roster of a larger school that has more money to pay them. The winners are the big-name schools that have a lot of dollars behind them. The losers are the smaller mid-major schools, which often have used the NCAA tournament as a jumping-off vehicle for recruitment and also for sponsorship to make more money. Those schools have not done well in this tournament. And you can see the writing on the wall that the system is now rigged against them because they're losing their top talent to the bigger schools. So it's possible that the days of a George Mason making a run to the Final Four, or a Loyola Chicago, or an Oakland, these sort of mid-major schools that people suddenly come to know through the NCAA tournament, the chances of them making a run are now greatly diminished from even what they were 5 years ago. That's not good news for those teams' sports programs. I think for the future, there's going to be a clash of two thoughts. There's one school of thought that this is good for college sports. It's good for college athletes to be paid, and also to be paid in a competitive way where their talents are being monetized. A lot of people think this is long overdue, and the transfer portal is a great way to, in essence, professionalize sports. There's definitely a school of thought that sees college athletics as purer than professional sports. In other words, these are amateurs. These are student athletes. The point of participating in college sports is to be a part of a college, to be a part of a team, to be a part of a legacy. And the benefit is that you're getting free academic tuition. You don't need all of these millions of dollars coming in over the top. And also, if you're using the transfer portal to hop from school to school, you're losing touch with the fabric of your university. You're no longer at school to study, to be a student athlete. You're now a pure athlete.
Basically, I mean they're gonna start consolidating the school. You might lose. You ain't gonna be at talent to compete if they keep on taking all your big name players and bringing on the bigger schools. That's what.
Damn. Corporate ties and everything, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why this year you got for the second time in a long time. I think in 2008 you got 4 teams, all number ones, and made the Final Four.
Is it rigged? It kind of showing you it's rigged, isn't it? Kind of letting you know it's rigged, right?
As a matter of fact,
what you think?
Yeah, it was kind of funny because it makes 14 ring. Well, it's rigged, and then it's rigged, but then it's also. I'm not gonna say just. It's just that you got the best talent. I mean, so if you were taking talent from the small program, which had the best talent, and getting their top players, and then you combine them with all your freshmen, All-Americans, and all that, or your senior Latin squad, you're going to have a pretty big chance. So you're poaching talent too. I mean, yesterday Duke lost to Houston, but I mean, Florida, Auburn, Duke and Houston. Duke was actually up by like 6 points with 31 seconds left. So, I mean, maybe Duke should have won. They called a crazy foul call on flag. But a lot of people, Houston won. It was, but what I'm saying is that, that was even kind of crazy, right? Because Duke got a lot of freshmen, and all them freshmen is probably going to be going to the NBA next year. So, either you got a thing where you got one and done, so you got guys jumping school playing. Some guys, you got guys playing college 6 years just because they're getting paid. So, of a student athlete, it's like free agency now. So, yeah, it's what it is. So now, I see last week they were talking about giving Luigi Mandoni possibly death penalty.
Here we go. This is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah.
But see, you know how that's bullshit. Now you can say you can consider it, but it isn't. How does that work? You can't just change the additional charges like that. And then the thing is he's still going through trial. How does that? It doesn't work like that. And my thing is, what was the initial charge? What did they charge him for? What did they charge him with from the jump? Because they're playing games with the story, man. What did they charge to do with from the jump, man? Because if you notice, they're playing games. They're not really telling no detail about this, man. You know what I'm saying? What they charge him with from the jump, BJ?
I'm gonna play this for you. They talking about
ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
They talking about this crazy stuff. Hold on, are you ready?
Hey, yo,
Last night, economics correspondent Paul Salmon reported on the impact in Massachusetts after a private equity firm bought several struggling hospitals there. Tonight, Paul looks at the bigger picture, the effect of private equity investments on Americans' healthcare.
There's a bereavement box, and some items are placed with the baby.
Nurse Ellen Mackins.
And the baby's remains, and that eventually goes to the morgue.
She's talking about what happened at her hospital after purchase by a private equity firm, Cerberus, which created a subsidiary, Stewart Healthcare, to run 8 struggling Massachusetts hospitals.
Stewart didn't have any bereavement boxes. They didn't pay the vendor, so there weren't any. So nurses were having to put babies' remains in bankers' boxes and cardboard shipping boxes. It only happened once or twice, and then nurses went out and bought the bereavement boxes themselves.
Plus, 15 deaths were attributed to the care, or lack of it, in the hospitals, 2 now completely shut in the wake of the private equity purchase. Moreover, it wasn't just in Massachusetts. Stewart bought 37 hospitals around the country, and more than 450 hospitals nationwide have been taken over by private equity, as well as nursing homes, emergency rooms, doctors' practices, and air ambulances. One analysis finds that private equity investors spent more than $200 billion on healthcare acquisitions in 2021 alone, and $1 trillion over the past decade.
It's a real problem.
And that problem, says Cindy Friedman,
private equity is a complete opposite of the delivery of healthcare.
State Senator Friedman has been trying to rein in private equity in Massachusetts through legislation.
Make money, leave, make it however you want, make it for people who are invested in making money. And then you've got healthcare, which is all about delivering care to people. The cost is not the first thing. The delivery care is the first thing. And those two things do not mesh.
But they are now joined at the hip, says economist Rosemary Bott.
We're seeing a rise in financialization and the role of unregulated financial actors in Main Street companies because of the deregulation of the financial industry that took place over decades.
And thus privatization, a lot of it by private equity.
This has happened in many industries, but it is particularly serious when it has moved into social goods such as healthcare, where people's lives are at stake.
So, an economic disaster? Really?
It was a struggling hospital system.
Economist Ryan McDevitt, who's presented his work at private equity events, says healthcare in general and the stew involved.
They were poorly performing. Private equity tried to salvage it, didn't quite work. But I wouldn't say that's specific to private equity.
As usual, private equity promised to invest to improve its purchases.
Healthcare is dysfunctional, it's broken, there's a lot of waste in the system. If private equity can come in, reduce costs, increase profits, that should be a good thing.
Should be. But is it? Before I try to answer, here's a shot at explaining what private equity is. First, private, because as with so-called hedge funds, there are few enough investors that the SEC doesn't regulate private equity firms. What investors?
Well-known entities in our society, including pension funds, institutional endowments, as well as wealthy individuals.
MD Zuri Song of Harvard Medical School studies the industry. He notes that most of the purchase price of a hospital or other healthcare entity is provided by debt owed to the lender, like a bank. That debt and the interest on it is then paid by the hospital or medical practice. When this model first came in the 1980s, the idea was that it was the discipline of debt, force the acquired company to become more efficient, no?
Indeed, and not only that, it's also the addition of managerial expertise that private equity firms bring in to healthcare settings that may have lacked it.
But as with hedge funds, private equity's main appeal to investors is the industry's outsized return rate, estimated at 13% a year for the past 25 years. By comparison, the stock market, as measured by the S&P 500, 8.6% a year. Now, debt and expertise might result in more efficiency and profits. At the heart of almost
basically your healthcare system is sure you have to get some private equity. They can shut it down when they want to.
Baby, yeah, privatize, yeah. And no regulations, man. That's how you make them get richer, baby. That's how you keep them in business. Just like they're not regulating these environmental stuff. You know what I'm saying, with these factories and all this. They're not right. You know, with these chemical plants, they're not regulating that. That's why I know it's all a game. Yeah, that's why I don't be saying too much, man. I know, I already see for what it is. You know what I'm saying?
This happened yesterday in Richmond.
The news at 6 begins with rallies in cities across the country today, drawing in thousands and hundreds of thousands of protesters in defiance of the Trump administration. More than 1,400 protests were expected across the nation, including right here in Washington. Thanks for joining us online on WUSA 9 Plus. I'm Larry Miller. More than 10,000 traveled to the Hands Off rally along the National Mall. As our John Duran tells us, some traveled from different parts of the country to be here.
In the shadow of the country's most recognizable monument, energetic masses came with signs and chants.
I'm here because we all have to stand up for our rights and for to defend against what this administration is doing.
Hearing from prominent politicians who say they're frustrated with the new presidential administration.
And if anybody was slow to wake up to this authoritarian takeover, nobody's sleeping now, and nothing is going to stop the forces of democracy and freedom in America.
Protesters opposing things like cuts to the federal workforce and government, recently imposed tariffs and healthcare.
As a woman, we see our rights floating away like dandelion fluff on the wind, but we are here.
Now notice this, which I did realize. Notice they have a lot of black people out here on this one.
Facts. And then they said something about women. Like, why you gotta make it a sex issue? You know what I'm saying? Isn't it?
Well, a lot of these influencers online that told them not to go out there, but I would just bring it up because that was kind of interesting, but it ain't because it's like it's kind of like it's saying don't get out there, let them do it, but you notice they didn't report any violence, so I mean, it is what it is. Notice they didn't report any acts of violence, so that's very interesting. Because usually, sometimes we get in these things they show violence. So, but they had that here in Richmond yesterday, and a lot of other places around the country. Really, was just a fundraiser for Al Sharpton's National Action Network, but that's part of it. And you had two live Jew crews doing it, but that's either here or there. But I just tell you that I laughed at it actually, but that's why I wasn't downtown yesterday. Notice I did it on Saturday, so that's another little gambit to pay attention to. Yeah, like you so concerned about why you're doing them.
Exactly. They know them people. People at damn home. A lot of them people at home on a damn Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, so I mean, I just thought that was kind of funny. Oh yeah, by the way, why y'all distracted though? And watch this. Remember that Covenant shooting in
New Mexico?
It was in Tennessee.
National Tennessee, a live look this morning for you in downtown as we're getting the final report, a 48-page final report from the Covenant School deadly shooting in March of 2023. This report shows the transgender killer, Audrey Hale, left behind numerous notebooks and documents detailing how she, quote, fantasized about mass shootings dating back to 2017. Also detailing fantasizes and discussions about shooting up different schools in Nashville and killing her father and her psychiatrist as well. The report goes on to say many have speculated the shooter selected the Covenant School for racial, religious, or economic motives. It is certainly true that she raged over these topics in the writings, but it goes on to say that the motives were not specifically, or none of those motives impacted her decision to attack the Covenant School. Instead, the report claims she believes she would actually gain more notoriety for attacking a Christian school, despite other journal entries showing Hale's hatred towards Christianity and religion as a whole. This final report now officially closes the Nashville police investigation.
Notice how they closed that report without any hard intermediate mention, didn't they?
Damn. How come they don't criminalize transgenders though? You know what I'm saying? You hear me?
Yeah, you got a good point. Just saying. I mean, that's just very interesting. But that is another thing that happened. Nobody told you about.
Breaking into our newsroom out of Bensonhurst, we are learning about a police-involved shooting where initial reports say at least one person could be dead, and we're also told that multiple people have been injured. News 12's Morgan Scott joins us from the scene on 84th Street with what we know so far. Morgan, we know there's a lot to learn and still a lot unconfirmed. But what can you tell us?
Noel, that's right. Still a lot to figure out here, especially those details that led up to that police-involved shooting. Some of the neighbors here that I spoke with off camera sharing that they heard those shots and immediately rushed out, actually assuming that it was some sort of a car crash, only, to see those people, some people being transported to the hospital. Again, we don't know the details that led up to the shooting and what surrounded that violence, and we're still working to figure that out. Still in very active scene here. Detectives are on the scene trying to piece together the information. And once we know more, obviously, we'll get back to you.
Morgan, thank you for that update.
Damn,
And we do see police at the scene there.
How
What
7
have you
people
seen
get
them
shot?
doing?
It
Have
was
they been walking around, going door to door, trying to talk?
You know what I said?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question.
If it was just an officer involved shooting, how did 7 people get injured? What the hell? See, this something don't add up. And look, Bensonhurst, I'm from New York, right? That's an Italian neighborhood, like Italian Jewish neighborhood. Probably not even any black people. That's why another reason why they ain't gonna tell. See, a lot of times when it's them, they're not gonna necessarily disclose the race. But if it's one of me and you, that's all you're gonna see. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Bensonhurst, that's white. That's white neighborhood.
Now, I did see some detectives actually going inside of one of the
That's
homes
Brooklyn.
here. We're not sure if that was for going to a neighbor or if that is where the violence first occurred. But they have been going in and out, not necessarily a particular home on this block right here.
Got it. And again, for folks just now joining us, there's a police-involved shooting, multiple people injured. Initial reports that an injury could have led to a death. We're going to keep you updated on that. Morgan Scott at the scene on 84th Street. Morgan, one more question before we let you go.
We start with breaking news out of Bensonhurst, where we're learning more about a police-involved shooting of a man they say attacked several children with a meat cleaver. We have team coverage tonight with News 12's Julia Burns speaking to neighbors in the community about this horrific attack. But first, we have News 12's Morgan Scott, who has been there at the scene all afternoon. She brings us the latest details on the police.
Year-old girl who told them that she and her siblings were stabbed by her uncle. That young girl did not know the address to the home, but police were quick to find a way here. When police arrived, one child who was not hurt led them inside where they heard screams behind a door. After kicking the door down, they saw 49-year-old Long Chen Chen holding a meat cleaver knife covered in blood, another knife in a separate room, and 4 young girls between the ages of 8 and 16 with severe slash and stab wounds. Police say they ordered the man to drop the weapon several times, but when he advanced towards them instead, officers fired 7 rounds.
Obviously, the motive behind this horrific attack is still under investigation. According to family members, though, Chen does have a history of mental illness. And we can tell you that there seems to be no prior DV history at this location.
Despite the unspeakable violence, everyone is expected to survive. And police say Chen was the only adult in that home. In Bensonhurst, Morgan Scott, News 12 Brooklyn.
Disturbing details. Thank you, Morgan, for tracking this. And we continue our team coverage with News 12's Julia Burns, who is there at the scene speaking to neighbors reacting to this scary situation. Julia?
Nadia, I mean, hearing those details from Morgan is scary to say the least, especially scary for this tight-knit community here in Bensonhurst. Police cars and caution tape are not what residents expected to see on their Sunday stroll here on the quiet residential road of 84th Street today. People even more shocked to hear the details behind that crime scene where police say a man stabbed 4 young girls with a meat cleaver. Video sent to us from people in that community shows first responders rushing into that house here on 84th Street and eventually carrying out a man on a stretcher who appears to be injured into an ambulance. Now, it's unclear if that man is who police say stabbed those girls, but we spoke with people in the area who watched police respond here today in disbelief.
I was shocked. I was really shocked. Like, nothing like that ever happens here. I lived here for 10 years since I was young.
Damn.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you the person wasn't black? Did I tell you? I told you.
You did say it.
Just by the area, how they were really careful, how they were reporting it. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, they reported. Look at how they reported the story about Carmelo Anthony, and they're reporting this. And then they want to back it up with, oh, he had mental illness. He has a history of mental illness. I'm telling you. Okay, I got a question for this though. Are they going to have a description? Are they going to hold all Asians accountable for this, like they do us when one of us does something? Is there going to be some stereotypes and statistics coming out about this? About them? You feel me?
You got a point.
They be tripping, man. The media, man. The media. All right.
They do be tripping. They do be tripping on a lot of stuff. That's why it's kind of weird. Like, I just be laughing at this shit, but I be like, yo. I just happened to see that. I said, damn, who the fuck? What the hell happened here in New York? New York got a lot of stuff going on. And of course, you know, they got a lot of stuff going on across these states with all this weather and stuff like that. But I realized they didn't show the picture of the guy who did this attack. So that's very interesting that they did not show the picture of the guy. So that's just interesting. Let me say this. Before I go, let me bring something up. You got a lot of storms going, a lot of things going on. People need to be careful or whatever. What's tomorrow? It's tomorrow the 8th? What's tomorrow? No, tomorrow the 7th. Let's see what happens. But I know there's been a lot of things in the media. You had brought some stuff to me earlier. Last week you had mentioned what's the lady's name? Felicia Rashad, that's it.
Uh-oh.
So what was your take on that?
Oh, there was, you know, it's a damn shame when you get, you know, I think she might be in her late 60s, 70s, something like that. She's supposed to be saying that type of stuff. She's supposed to be critiquing stuff like that. I mean, that's her, for one, she's the elder. For two, that's in her place to do that. So you're not supposed to, for one, you're expecting her not to act like an elder. For two, you know what I'm saying? You're expecting her to not have accountability because you don't got accountability for yourself. I think that's really corny. I think that, that just says a lot and how delusional a lot of this generation, a lot of these females are, period. Disrespectful, ungrateful. This goes to show they probably don't have a lot of family in their life that don't check them their damn self. Their moms and their aunts and stuff like that probably don't be checking them like that and don't be holding them accountable. So, there you go. It's a shame, I don't want to hear nothing from Black women. I don't want to hear nothing, man. It's like, it's sad. It's like, I'll be saying, are we evolving or devolving over here? You know what I'm saying? It's like, are people just that dumb and delusional and just that stuck on that mindset and just that much of a follower? Because you following what the next broad says on YouTube or on Instagram, or they're showing they living their best life. Of course, you ain't going to be showing the downside. You're not going to be showing the fucked up moments on social media. You're going to be showing all that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Glamour and glitz and glam bullshit. So, honestly, for them to think that lady was supposed to just like cater to them and cook them like that, I think that was whack. And for her to just act like she's not in her 60s or 70s and not supposed to just hold them accountable and not say nothing about them and critique them about it, which she is a woman, a Black woman. I thought that was weird, man. Right? That just goes to show, that just says a lot about these females, man. They're not females. They're not women. They're females. A real woman would have understood that and saluted her for that, and they would be thinking the same way like how she's thinking. A real woman, but they're not. They're kids. They're females. How you say that you're independent and you don't need a man, but at the same time you talk about you want a man with money. Make that make sense. if you don't need a man, then you know, if a dude is cool, you know what I'm saying, if he can support itself, why would it matter? But see, that just goes to show, man, people weird. You know
well, let me say this. Let me say this to you. I've seen a lot of weird shit over the last couple weeks, man. Like really, this thing is like I was I kind of want to say some of these women might be past point no return. I'm gonna tell you why.
Right.
I was talking to a young lady today. She was telling me some things. Right. It was just this shit was just no, it was the day or yesterday. I forgot what day. What's up, man? How you doing? But it was so weird, man, because like so she has like a thing with her I guess she got a son or whatever, and he's got like, so I guess he's about 18, 17, whatever, and he wants a tattoo or whatever. So he wants tattoo on a certain part, and she want to make sure he got tattoo covered up, whatever. Right. I'm like, if you get himself a tattoo, I guess that's fine. But I mean, why does he have to have them? How you doing? But what I'm saying is that everybody's got this white picket fence thing right now, right? And I'm gonna come back on later and we can break it down. This white picket fence theory. Okay, you know what I mean. You know what the white picket fence thing is, right? I gotta have this banging car and this. Like I said, the apartment is certain areas is $2,000 a damn month for an apartment, 2 bedrooms and stuff. You mean like crazy. So what I'm saying is, I know people have been talking about what is it, tariffs and all this stuff this week and all this other stuff, right? My thing is that nobody tells the consumer what they're going. People are gonna buy stuff anyway. You know what I said? This price is going up. First of all, price been going up since when? The 1900s, like back at a loaf of bread be 10 cents or some shit like that, right? So I just find it comical that if it ain't getting back to when it was in your grandma and dad, I know things they say go up, but this stuff that went up a lot since then, right? Sugar might have been 3 cents, 4 cents, I don't know. Right? I'm just giving estimates right here, right? So what I'm saying is I don't think we really understand the stuff that's going on. But it is what it is. But I'm just saying that anybody got to buy all this crazy stuff, right? Like people buying everything they want to say. I see people buying. I mean, like I did have to tell one of the ladies at one of the events a couple of days ago. I did tell her I do appreciate that you got your natural hair and nails and all that. I mean, I had to tell her that. Just because of some fact of hey, I mean, she didn't have to do it, but I told her, hey, look, if he's 11 million, if they know the projections that they're gonna buy, you're gonna spend more money on this stuff in the next 5 years. It's good you already had the game. She's like, well, I don't have to have everything. I said, that's nice. Because people feel like I gotta have everything. I gotta have this 2025 Mercedes. I gotta have this, I gotta have that, I gotta have this, I got that. And the more you buy, it's called a circular economy for a reason. So you cannot get mad when things go up, when you dictate the price, things going up by you keep on buying shit that you don't really have to have. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So that's on you. And I mean, that's on you for that. Anybody tell you had to wear a pair of $200 shoes? I ain't wear a pair of $100 shoes in probably a decade or less. $100 shoes, you can buy 10 out, probably about 5 pair of shirts, some shit. I don't know. Just pick something. But that's all I'm saying. So people just need to know what time it is and like, hey, yo, wake the hell up, get out your ass, watch what's going on with the weather, and please watch Going Children. Like I told you, this week just been a wild week. All this shooting that they've been talking about down here, and I actually tell you the truth, but they ain't talking about the shit probably gonna get worse, right? So, because I mean, like I told you, it was spring break. Like if the kids ain't doing nothing doing spring break, what do you think will happen? Shit happens, right? So, but they got things to do, but I just don't think they're being geared in the right way. But so I gotta make a run. But shout out to information, man, where you can find you.
Word, man. Salute. BJ, good, you know what I'm saying? Good shit again, you know what I'm saying? Good show, good information. We definitely got to be, you know, to stay on it and, you know what I'm saying? Keep definitely talking about these important topics that affect our people and affect us. See what I'm saying? And yeah, if y'all want to, you know, tap in with me, check out my content. Y'all can check me out at XX Frank Nitty XX on YouTube and also on Instagram and also Frank Jones 8115. All right. Word, man.
All right, let me check it out. We get him at Shaq Wild on YouTube. Security Gathers Facebook. Yeah, and with Shaq Edwards on Instagram. I just want to say this. Watch these weather. They had tornado watches, places, and all this other crazy mess, right? So people be careful, watch the flooding. Be supposed to get hit with a heavy lot of rain tomorrow. And watch out for those wasps in your porches. Because I had a wasp chase me the other day. Hey, look. But you take your time, man.
All right, salute, man.